I'm delighted to be joined on the Alternative Show today by USA band Silver Liz. They're here to chat about the band and play us some songs. Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, doing
Good,
well.
how are you?
All good, thank you very much. Okay, to start us off, can you tell us where you're based, who's in the band, and what everyone does in it?
Yeah. We're we're based in Brooklyn, New York. The band is mainly just the two of us. We write and record all the music ourselves, and then when it comes to drums, we usually have one of our friends do that, and then they'll also join us in the live setting too. So right now, our drummer for live shows is actually my cousin Mark, who will come into town and play with us whenever we have gigs.
Real family band.
Yeah, it is kind of a family band sometimes. But then I'll play guitar, and then Carrie will play synth bass actually, and then we have a lot of electronics going too. Yeah.
How did it all start? Where did you meet, and how did the band come about?
Well, we met in college. I was taking piano lessons, and we met in the music and arts center at our college, and we just kind of started talking about music, and we didn't really we didn't form our band until much later, but music was something always that we were bonded together by, and we played some covers and stuff in college, like at coffee houses, but we didn't really form our band actually until after we were married in Chicago. So kind of organically formed years later.
Yeah. Okay. And who thought of the name Silver Liz, and why did you choose it?
I thought of it because we were at the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh. I was visiting my brother, Matt and I were both there, and we came across this silver screen print of Liz Taylor by Andy Warhol, and it was called Silver Liz, and I was like, okay, that's a cool band name. And so we just kind of talked about it and decided that sounded like a good band name for us, and it kind of seemed to fit the genre that we were starting to explore at the time.
Yeah. We didn't actually have a band whenever we were at the Andy Warhol Museum. So it actually, when we made music and wanted to release it and we needed a band name, I guess Carrie had remembered that name, Silver Liz. And so she was like, how about that? And we were like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
Well, we were starting to write songs, but we didn't actually form a band until later.
Yeah. I think it works because when you hear that band name, you can't immediately know what kind of music it's going to be. I feel like it works with a lot of different styles, and we make a lot of different styles of music. So yeah.
And people sometimes will after shows be like, "Are you Liz?"
Oh yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm Carrie, but I'm part of Silver Liz." It's just kind of funny that that people think that, but I mean, it totally makes sense. But Liz actually does have a personal, that name has a personal tie to me, because I have grandmothers whose names were Elizabeth, and my middle name's Elizabeth. I don't know. We really liked it, the name.
Fun fact, the only other band name I can think of that is a color and then someone's name is Pink Floyd.
Well,
it's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it's not true and we just don't know about them.
Yeah, maybe. But there are a lot of bands with the name Silver in them, so that's the only thing I regret. But other than that, I think it's still good.
Okay, I noticed on your bio that it says you moved from Chicago to Brooklyn. Why did you move to Brooklyn from Chicago?
Well, we've always kind of wanted to live in New York for a long time, and we were just sort of at a point where it made sense. Most of our families and friends are actually on the East Coast or Eastern Seaboard, and so, in a lot of ways it sort of felt like coming home, even though we're not, we both grew up a few hours away from New York City. Just to be closer, in the same part of the country to our friends and family, just felt like a nice thing.
Yeah, I feel like Chicago was kind of a good place for us to figure out what we were doing, because we moved there not really, we knew that we wanted to enjoy the music scene, but we didn't really at that time have a serious idea that we wanted to form a band. So Chicago was definitely a good place for us to kind of like figure that out. And then towards the end of our time being there, we had more of an aim, I guess. And people would tell us like, well, if you're serious about pursuing music, then I think New York or LA would be a good next step.
Yeah.
So it seemed to make more sense to go to New York because we already have a base of people we know here that we're close to.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of friends that we grew up with in college are here still. And so, it felt, it was pretty easy to get settled in here and feel like we were part of a community.
You got 3 songs to play for us tonight. So what's your first choice and why have you chosen it?
1,000, which is the second single that we put out from our upcoming sophomore album. It's one of my favorites. Well, I guess one of our favorites. I really love the unexpected changes in the song. I like the melody a lot. Feel like it's pretty poppy altogether. I really like the end of the song too. It just feels very cathartic and just really explosive. And then the lyrics are, I wrote the lyrics for it and they're pretty personal to my upbringing and how I used to like, well, I still kind of do, just like, you know, kind of growing up with like a fear of death and the traditional idea of hell. Really dropping that dark bomb right now, but that's like, that's definitely, those are the reasons why I like it.
Again, I haven't been present, just trying to save myself down the line. I think of all these scenarios and how I would deal with them all in time. Thought it could maybe protect me if I never wake from that recurring dream.
How would you describe the band's sound?
Well, it changes a lot. I think in all, well, yeah, so to go back, I mean, our first record was definitely mostly, just straight up shoegaze and dream pop. And then we put out some dancey tracks, and then now we're putting out stuff that has a lot of acoustic guitar and is just much softer in general. But I think that, those shoegaze influences like My Bloody Valentine and Slow Dive, I think that influence always makes its way into the music somehow, like whether it's just the soft, like ethereal vocals, that word ethereal gets thrown around a lot, and then just the lush encapsulating production. Like those are two things that I think you can always find in our music.
I feel like we both really care about songwriting, the art form of songwriting, I guess, just trying to make something that we both would want to listen to and that grips us. And I feel like, that has good melodies, good kind of poppy hooks. I feel like the songs that we've been putting out this year are definitely poppier, which I really love. And I've been listening to poppier music, which has definitely influenced that. But I would agree with everything you said too, just kind of versatile. We're kind of exploring a lot of different genres, which is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we don't like a song to sit in the same place for too long. So I feel like our songs like change quite quickly, whether it's, some sort of unexpected chord change or just the texture or instrumentation changes a lot because, I don't know. I feel like when we're listening to just like the radio or like Spotify playlists, we find ourselves like getting kind of bored easily, and so we just want to make something that's really exciting to us. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned songwriting. Is there a particular songwriting process that you follow?
For this recent set of songs for our second record, a lot of the songs were just pretty much written entirely by Carrie, and then we sort of worked on the arrangements together. But then there are quite a few songs too that are also like she would have a bit of a song and I would have a bit of a song, and then it kind of just made sense to combine them. And so yeah, it's just we kind of just bring stuff to the table, and whatever we both are really into, we decide to turn into a Silver List song.
And I feel like individually anyway, I usually write something on the guitar first, and then like I'll have a melody in my head on top of it, and then I'll kind of have like a stream of consciousness set of lyrics that kind of end up forming some of the words, just like how the words are shaped, like, and then I'll try to rhyme better words that eventually make something more cohesive and like have a story to tell. I definitely feel like for the lyrics on this next record, they're more personal to me and to Matt compared to like the first album we put out, which we were writing more like cryptic lyrics, I think, and kind of abstract.
Do you find your songs have any consistent lyrical themes?
Existentialism.
Insecurities. Yeah. But also like, like a light at the end of the tunnel too. I guess kind of what I said before too, these are a little bit more personal to us, compared to the first album. And we went to Nashville like back in 2017, and I think when we were like going to the museums, we saw that we went to the Johnny Cash Museum. We like developed more of an appreciation for country music and how they really love storytelling, and I think we tried to incorporate that more into our lyrical process. That's informed this record, I think.
Yeah, I think the upcoming record is somewhat of like, I don't know, a mid-20s coming of age record or something. Yeah. It's
like dealing with some stuff from childhood that has carried on into adulthood in some ways.
Yeah.
I note that you've got a studio in your apartment. Can you tell me what equipment it consists of?
It's a really nice desk that our really good friend Andrew made for us as a wedding gift. He used to, he's still a furniture, he designs and builds furniture. And like in this period of his creative life, he was taking a lot of like recycled materials and making it into really amazing furniture. And so he built this desk out of this beautiful wooden door, and it's like specifically made for like composing and producing. So there's like a little slide out drawer where I can put my MIDI keyboard. So that is one striking feature, I think. And then but aside from that, it's just like a Focusrite Scarlett like 8-channel interface.
Got a soundproof booth.
Yeah, we bought this like soundproof modular partition that we use for singing. And then I don't know, a couple synthesizers, some microphones, but that's it. Yeah, it's not anything too fancy.
Any particular choice of microphone?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my favorite dynamic microphone is the Beyer Dynamic M88. That's actually what Carrie is using right now. You can use it for so many things. It's really great on kick drums because the low end frequency response is very high. There's kind of a boost there. But it's also just, I don't know, it's just got such a rich sound for vocals. Like it's just, I don't know, there's just something about it that I really like. And then I also splurged and bought a set of like a stereo pair of AKG 414s last year, which we've also used. I use that for acoustic guitars, and we've tried using them for vocals, but they can be a bit bright. Actually, I actually prefer the Beyer Dynamic for vocals. But anyways, I kind of just went into full on gear nerd talk. So sorry about that. But yeah, those are, I would say the Beyer Dynamic M88 is my favorite microphone. Yeah.
What approach do you use when you're recording?
Well, we usually start with demos. I think like
I'll like put I'll record something into a voice memo on my phone.
Yeah, and like I'll maybe make a drum machine track using just drum packs in Ableton or something. I mean, the last 2 records we did record the drums ourselves, and then we'll record the drums first and then kind of re-record everything over top of it. So and then pretty much everything else is recorded in our apartment, like the guitars, the vocals, and then the synthesizers, of course. But for the loud stuff, we'll either go into a studio or use a friend's house where we can be as loud as we want. Yeah.
When we were recording the second album, it was a little bit more, I guess, like stressful in a way, because we really wanted it to sound good. And the first album is kind of when we still didn't know. I mean, we knew what we were doing, but I think we learned a lot in between those points. But I think we kind of went into recording the second album more intentionally and working harder, spending a lot more time on it. Sometimes trying like different vocal affectations, like, oh, what would it sound like if we try to do something a little breathier here, and just kind of like playing with different things. But yeah, first we just kind of like lay it all out, and then we'll figure out the arrangement from there. Usually Matt has like a more unique idea for arranging things. I feel like I kind of bring the bare bones to a song, or to Matt, and then you'll think like, oh, how can we make this sound more modern? Because it sounds like it could be maybe like a classic sounding song, but we want to have something kind of unique about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Make it sound more modern.
I think we do want our music to sound like it was produced today, rather than something like 20 or 30 years ago, even though we sort of draw from those styles. Yeah, we did spend a lot more time, I think, perfecting our takes in this record, like vocally, and then like just like all the guitar stuff. I had to actually like practice a lot in order to get everything like super tight, because like, I think the more you listen to your older stuff, the more you realize like, oh, we could have been tighter here, or I guess we were a little more perfectionistic this time around. Yeah.
Victoria Legrand was talking about how they just did so many takes of vocals, and it made me feel better because we were getting frustrated with how many vocal takes we were doing, and I was kind of beating myself up a little bit about like, oh, why don't I have it? But I feel like now that the circumstances kind of have to be almost perfect. Like I need to eat like a few hours before, not like right before, which is like kind of an obvious thing. But it's like, things like that where we were more intentional this go around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll spend like, a few hours or like a whole day recording vocals or something.
Yeah.
And then you listen to it like 2 weeks later and you realize, or like we realized we didn't like how it sounded. We just took our time to make sure that it was exactly how we wanted, and I think that's it's really important to do.
Yeah. I think we were really ready to wrap it up, and we were about to move from Chicago to New York, but we were still trying to finish recording the vocals. And I feel like maybe because we were rushing ourselves a bit that we didn't get the best take because there was more pressure on it. It wasn't as enjoyable of an experience, which it should be. It needs to be pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
So we ended up re-recording the vocals for Unlikely Girl and Until Lately in New York when things were kind of settled down. A learning process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, why did you use the Hobson Lucas Soundstage to record your drums and electric guitars?
Yeah, so the Hobson Lucas Soundstage is part of the communications building, or one of them, at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, which is just north of Chicago along the lake. And I was doing a master's there called Sound Arts and Industries. And so there were a lot of classes on sound for film. And so the soundstage was used mostly for recording film sound, and there was a Foley pit and things like that. But it was also great for recording bands and instruments and things like that too, because it was just like this giant space, and it actually did have a little bit of a natural acoustic reverb. But the control room was, I think, kind of the main appeal. They had this like huge SSL AWS console that we learned how to use, and it sounded so good. And so as a student there, we had access to that space for whatever we wanted. So we took advantage of it, and we used it to record all the drums and most of the electric guitar for this record. In addition to that really nice SSL console, they just had like a huge collection of like really nice top shelf microphones, and it was kind of a dream come true to be able to record there. So yeah, that's why we had access. So to answer your question, yeah, we had access to it from me being a student there, and it just was a great facility to use for free. Yeah.
We've come to your second song choice now. So what's your second song choice for us, and why have you chosen it?
Our second song choice is from October 2020. It's called There's No Need. And we're choosing this one because I feel like this song was sort of the first big left turn for us stylistically. It was sort of a break from the shoegazy stuff from our first record, and it is basically like an actual like club pop dance track. So yeah, I don't think anyone expected us to put out a dance track, but I think, in spite of that stylistic shift, you can still hear the shoegazy influence, and you can still hear that there's tons of reverb and sounds of a more like ethereal quality or whatever. So we're choosing this one because it was an interesting time for us. Yeah.
Where have you performed live?
Chicago venues, Subterranean, Beat Kitchen. Those were, I think, some of our favorite places to play.
Yeah, in Chicago we played a lot of smaller clubs or, just rooms that were, I don't know, a few hundred people capacity in the back of bars or whatever. We played a similar kind of space here in New York just a few weeks ago at this place called Pianos. And so smaller venues so far.
Okay, any favourites to play at?
Have we ever played a venue? I don't think we've ever played one more than once.
I think my favorite show experience was Subterranean, though, because that was like our first show. And
yeah,
it was just really good energy from the audience. And yeah, it just always holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, it was the first and largest show we've ever played, actually.
Yeah.
Because we opened for Cara Bonito, and yeah, they were doing a tour, and I actually, I'm friends with Gus from when I studied abroad, and he posted on Facebook that they needed openers in Chicago, and we had just put out our first song, and so I messaged him. I was like, hey, we'd be interested, maybe next time, but just wanted to let you know we have this project, and maybe in the future we would like to. But then he was like, why don't you just make it happen now? Just give it a go, And so we had only a few weeks to get ready for it, and so
we had to form a band.
We had to, that's actually kind of how the band formed, was specifically to get ready for this show. So yeah, we like I said, my cousin Mark, who plays drums, we flew him out. He learned songs, and then
it's like our Southwest credit card points.
Yeah, and then we found a bassist, and then we made it happen, and it was crazy. It was a sold out show. I think it was 400 people, and yeah, it's still the biggest show we've ever played.
For some reason, I wasn't even really nervous for it. I was just like, hell yeah, this is just so. It was amazing. I couldn't. It was too important to be nervous about. I feel like I was nannying at the time, and I worked Wednesdays through Fridays, long days. And the show, I think, was a Wednesday night. And so I was really trying to get my boss to approve this night. And she was really resistant to it. And I was like, I'm sorry, no, I have to take off.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because that was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no video documenting it. Probably for the better, because who knows.
It probably didn't. Yeah, who knows?
We probably weren't as good as we thought we were in our heads.
I don't think I even warmed up. I think it was just
yeah.
And
we actually hadn't even rehearsed together fully as a band before the show. Mark, PD, and we had rehearsed in a practice space, but you hadn't even
I couldn't even go.
Us performing that show was actually the first time Carrie actually sang with us as a band. So yeah, it was
insane
a really
that we did that.
It was a really crazy experience, but it was awesome. Yeah.
And I remember I had most of the whatever lyrics I could fit on my hand, I wrote down so I wouldn't forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also remember the crowd was just really supportive. There was this one guy that was in the front of the audience. I think after I announced between songs, this is our first show, and he was like, "You go, girl," and gave me a high five.
Yeah, well, that was, I remember. Yeah. It was I remember when you said this is our first show ever, and the audience was just whoa. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and it's hopefully we play shows that big or bigger someday soon, but yeah, it's still the only show we've had that was more than 100 people.
If you could play any venue anywhere in the world, where would you like to play?
I feel somewhere in Chicago, just because that's where we formed our band, but maybe I should be thinking outside the box a little more.
I would love to play somewhere outdoors with beautiful scenery, maybe Red Rocks in Colorado.
Oh man, yeah, I changed my answer.
That would be cool.
Screw Chicago, no I'm kidding.
Yeah. Or I don't know, somewhere out maybe Meriwether Post Pavilion or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We saw some good concerts there.
Yeah, Columbia, Maryland. Yeah, somewhere outdoors. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
Any venues in the UK that you would like to play?
Yeah, definitely.
O2 Academy Brixton.
Yeah, I think we're ways away from that, but
Yes. But we saw Crystal Castles there back when Alice Glass was in the band, when we were both studying abroad in England. And that was an insane show. That was just so fun and crazy.
Yeah.
I just love the vibe of that place too. It's kind of, at least like my impression of it was like kind of dungeony, but maybe that's because it was like Crystal Castle's music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another venue in London. I think it was, is it called the Roundhouse?
In Camden.
Yeah. Camden, like
Yeah.
Chalk Farm up there somewhere. Yeah. I saw Animal Collective there. I thought that was a really cool venue. Yeah. Our answer was the only two big venues we've been to in London. So.
Yeah, that's what we're aware of.
Right.
Okay, what's your favourite song to perform live?
I feel like mine is probably Roman Candle Part 2. It's the second dance track we've put out. I love performing dance music. I feel like it's just really fun to come up with a different way of performing a song live, like seeing how you can toy with the vocals and change things up a bit. And I just really love like the energy of the audience, like kind of getting them on their feet. That's my answer.
I really like, it's the song we always start out with called Float. It's actually kind of like the first song we release as Silver Liz. I really like playing that one. I feel like it's just a really fun jam and it always goes pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely our most rehearsed song. It's
yeah,
pretty tight.
Which is why we open with it. But it's always, I don't know. I just really like getting into the groove on that one. Yeah.
Okay, what's your hope and aspirations for your music?
I think we just hope that one day we can make a comfortable living doing this.
Yeah, and we definitely want to tour at some point too, because we haven't done that before. Love to be on a label, get a manager. Like, yeah, I think just kind of taking things to the next level a bit. But I definitely echo Matt's answer. It would be amazing if we could eventually make a living from it.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
That's just our modest request.
That's all we ask, please.
Don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to, based on what you put out so far, for sure.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice of you to say. Yeah.
Okay, and what's next for the band this year?
Well, yeah, we have a show coming up in July that we're excited about. We have a few more singles from the album we're putting out with videos. I think the next one should be out in July. We're really excited about that one. And then we're already writing for what we hope to be our next album, and we hope that album will be out much sooner rather than later, because it's been almost 5 years since our first album. But the third record will be out hopefully in I don't know, no more than
Hopefully
a
next
year
year.
after this next album. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we definitely kind of took our time with this second album, but I mean, various life things happened, and so it made sense time-wise to release it this year. But I think, the third album I'm very excited about. I think once we put out the second album, it'll be nice to finally see what people are saying about it, and it'll be nice to just have that out there and kind of be able to move on from it, but also enjoy the nice things that people are saying.
Yeah, I feel like with every album we're going to try to do something very different from the previous record, and so I think the third album, the one after this, is going to be much more in the box recording wise, mainly software instruments and drum machines, because the record we're putting out now is mostly recorded, all the drums were recorded in a studio and everything, and it just was very time consuming and kind of stressful. So I think we're just going to do a much quicker sort of bedroom pop approach with the next one.
Yeah, and I think we want to also continue in our a dancey music direction too, and maybe put out an EP of dance tracks.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. What interests or hobbies do any of you have outside of the band?
I have a friend who lives in Brooklyn also. We sometimes write and produce these like $12 looking sketches,
Comedy sketches.
like comedy sketches, and they're really ridiculous, and like, yeah, they definitely look low budget, but it's just like a fun thing that we do on the side. And we also have been writing these like comedic songs together, and Matt helps produce those. But yeah, that's, and also not even worth mentioning probably, but I love knitting. I feel like during the pandemic, I would literally like sometimes just like sit in bed and knit and like listen to a podcast or like listen to music, and it was a really kind of meditative time of the night. It just kind of calmed me down amidst all the stress going on in the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy cooking, although it's not a super serious hobby, but when I get really obsessed with one dish, I kind of go all out and have to like perfect it, and I make it over and over again.
Specifically pizza.
Yes, recently it was
It's so good.
it was
I feel really spoiled.
homemade pizza. Yeah. So I've made, during the pandemic, I've made countless pizzas, probably, like, yeah. So yeah, cooking, I guess.
Okay. Cooking and knitting then.
Cooking and knitting. Yeah, we're very
Domestic.
domestic. Yes, we love. Yeah, we are kind of like homebodies a little bit.
I love being
yeah.
home.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, we get out too. It's like we like traveling to places where we can enjoy the outdoors and hike and stuff too.
Yeah.
Just like walk around. I love just going, like, visiting a city and just sort of like wandering like aimlessly, you know, just walking for miles and kind of not really having a destination in mind and just kind of seeing, just exploring, you know. That's fun.
Yeah. And I feel like when we were living in Chicago, we lived really far north, and it was a little bit easier to make an excuse to like not go to a show or something. And so now I feel like now that we're in a more central part of the city, and it's just really easy to get to different shows in Brooklyn and Manhattan, it's definitely been easier for us to be like, okay, no, we should go to this show tonight, and kind of be more spontaneous and just like go out more, because there's so much to experience here.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially coming out of the pandemic, I feel like we're trying to make up for lost time.
Okay, we've come to the final song choice. So what's your final song choice for us tonight, and why have you chosen it?
Unlikely Girl. It's the most recent song we've put out. Yeah, this one's pretty personal to me as well. It was the first song that I wrote kind of all the way through. It's, just kind of about like insecurities I've had about like when I tell people I'm interested in being a performer and making music. Some people have been like, oh, that's like weird that you're interested in doing that, because you seem like really like quiet or something. Like, it's usually people that I don't know very well that like I haven't warmed up to. Kind of takes me a while, I guess, sometimes, but that's gotten easier for me over the years, as well as just kind of like not caring about what people say about that. So, Unlikely Girl.
Should you also mention that this is like the first song?
I already mentioned
you
that.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, spaced out for a second. Cut that part out.
That's all right.
No, leave it in. Leave it in.
Thank you for joining me today. Let's keep in touch. All the best.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for having us. This was really fun.
Yeah, this is great.
You're very welcome.
Ooh.